Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making a video response to UZI, or he's going by the name minorityop. That's his new screen name now on YouTube. And Uzi, thank you for responding to my video. I must say that usually you and I are on the same side or on the same I guess we agree on pretty much many topics in the past, and so I was sort of taken off guard that you were the one who would send a video response to me with regards to this topic. Of course, I'm not surprised now that I think about it why you would respond, but you responded in a very harsh way, and I could tell you were pretty angry. And that's fine. I don't expect you to have enjoyed that topic of the Jews killing their prophets, but I'm going to respond to some of the things you said because I think you set up a number of straw men against me to prove your point, which I never actually mentioned in my video. Now, for an example, you mention first off about the death of Isaiah, and you say that um, that the Babylonian Talmud, pretty much the alleged story, is actually better talked about in the Ascension of Isaiah, which you say is a scripture that has a lot of Christian influence upon it. Now, I didn't rest my evidence on the Ascension of Isaiah. In fact, I mentioned the Babylonian Talmud because my reference for that is the National Geographic Essential Visual Guide to the Bible. And their reference is the Babylonian Talmud, where Isaiah is sawed in half. Now, I looked at the link you provided where it mentions, let's see here, it mentions in Hebrews 11:37 that it says they were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were put to death with a sword, they went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destituted, afflicted, ill-treated. And that's regards to the prophets in Hebrews 11:37. Of course, you're going to reject that because it's a Christian scripture. And then you also get from this website all the references to the Ascension of Isaiah, which is also from other scriptural traditions that have a Christian influence, according to you. And you also seem to allude to the fact that because the Babylonian Talmud was not written until after the writing of the Ascension of Isaiah, you seem to pass it off like that's not good enough. That reference is not a valid reference. Now, I don't mean to put words in your mouth because, granted, you did not say that to me, but the way you phrased it was that because it was written later, and you seem to end it with that sort of statement. Now, I have a friend that I know on Stickam who's an Orthodox Jew, and I had him watch both my video and your video, and to give him his thoughts on my video, because I wanted to make sure I was getting all these facts right. First off, let me read to you what he said to me. He said, "Your video is quite well. I didn't find it too outlandish or anything. Thank you." And then it says, in the Talmud, Rabbi Simon ben Azzai found an account wherein it was written that King Manasseh killed Isaiah. So it's mentioned in Talmud, it's part of our tradition, knowing that Isaiah was killed. Being sawed in half is both Christian and Jewish tradition, which some people say is in the book of Hebrews, and he mentions the section that you put in your article, Uzi, but refers to the prophet that was sawn in half. It says, well, apart from that, also the Old Testament mentions how the Jews didn't listen to the prophets of God, and there are even allusions to killing of some prophets also. But not Jews as a whole, just a few people who wanted to protect their own bases and got rid of those that spoke out against them. That is my friend's message, who is an Orthodox Jew. Born and raised, can speak and read Hebrew, very knowledgeable individual. He knows the Talmud like the back of his hand. Now, he says there's no problem with my video. So, your issue with my video, Uzi, obviously you have your own bones to pick with whatever, and that comes out very much in your video when you go on these huge rants about Christianity and things of this nature. And I'm not here to defend Christianity. I am here to defend some of the accusations you put towards me. So what have we discovered from this? That the Jews, mainstream Judaism, believes the Babylonian Talmud is authentic. So you even have Jews who say that there were certain Jews who killed certain Jewish prophets. So this isn't just non-Jews accusing Jews of this. You have Jews, like my friend here, who actually admit that this happened. You then also mention where I said about Herod Antipas, and you go on this talk about Herod Antipas, and granted, let me thank you for correcting me on that. I did not know that Herod Antipas' mother was a Samaritan, so I thank you for that. However, let me clarify. I never said that Herod Antipas literally was the one that literally cut off the head of John the Baptist. He ordered John the Baptist to be executed. And then certain individuals took him and executed him. Now I want to ask you the question, who were the people who executed John the Baptist? Were they Jews? Who were they? Well, we don't really know for a fact, but let's pretend because you go on this huge rant about the Herodians. Now, if the Herodians were even considered by the Torah-observant Jews to be not that religious, or however you put it, that doesn't mean that they're not Jews. They just might not be as Torah-observant as the Torah-observant Jews, which does not make them any less of people. It certainly doesn't make them non-Jews. So if the Herodians were the ones who killed John the Baptist, Jews killed John the Baptist. Now, granted, you don't believe he's a prophet. This video was not directed towards you. You mentioned how I bring out the whole old goat of Jesus Christ, and you say, Azzai, how can you sit there and read the Gospel of Matthew like it's the literal words of Jesus? I never once in my video said that those were the words of Jesus. In fact, when you actually go and you watch my video, the reason why I bring up the New Testament is because some of my viewers aren't Muslim. So if I quote the Quran saying that the Jews killed their prophets, why would they pay attention to that? Except for just some kicks and giggles. No, so I quote the New Testament for my Christian viewers to show that yes, the Jews were accused of killing their own prophets. Then you go on this huge rant about your Caesar's Messiah book and how that the Flavians created Christianity. That's your opinion. That's the opinion of this book that you have, that you base many of your arguments off of. Granted, I've never read it, but that's where you're getting your information from. So this is nothing extremely scholarly to back up this idea. This is based on a book that's pretty much on the same merit as the Jesus Papers and Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Interesting, but as far as mainstream scholarship goes, it's not. Now, to go further with this idea, you mentioned Flavius Josephus and his histories, and this person named Zechariah. That's fine, Uzi, if you have a video about that, that's great. That's not the huge point of my argument here. Jesus mentioned Zechariah. You know, I didn't mention that in great detail, but you go into great detail for the last 3 minutes of your video. Power to you. However, I want to quote you something. This is chapter 18 and 19 of 1 Kings. Now, you mentioned that the Babylonian Talmud is getting their reference from 2 Kings. I believe it's in chapter 19 about King Manasseh killing a whole bunch of innocent blood. That's one way of doing it. However, I would like to quote you 1 Kings. You say that pretty much this is a non-Jewish accusation, that the Jews killed their prophets, that this gives Muslims an excuse to hate Jews, and you say that Islam was a religion created to hate Jews. I haven't talked to you in a while, Uzi, but your perspective on Islam has definitely changed since last time we talked. Now you're saying that Islam is a religion who hates Jews. Wow. Wow, I don't know who pissed you off, but someone must have to put you in that perspective. But chapter 18, verses 13 of 1 Kings says, "Has it not been told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 of the Lord's prophets, 50 to a cave, and provided them with bread and water, yet now you say, go tell your Lord that Elijah is here." So it says, Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord. Now you might say, well, again, that's just one person who killed the prophets, kind of like King Manasseh. Fair enough. But what about this? 1 Kings chapter 19, starting at verse 9. "Then the words of the Lord came to him, saying, What are you doing here, Elijah? He answered, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." Now, according to my Orthodox Jewish friend, he said that the amount of Jews living in Israel were 2 times the amount of Jews that came out of the Exodus from Egypt. And now Elijah's saying, they're all dead, I'm the last one. So here you have Jewish scripture saying Jews killed prophets, Israelites. Now I'm with my friend when he says that not all Jews did this. And I never said that. In fact, in my video, I say this is not an attack on Judaism or the Jewish people as a whole. And I second his statement when he says some Jews killed some of the prophets. And what do you know? The Quran doesn't say that all of the Jews were bad people and that not all of the Jews killed all of their prophets. It's specifically talking about a section of the people of the book who are unbelievers, not all of them. But I think you missed that as well. So thank you for watching. Peace be with you all.